Of course, we began by talking about creating a personal growth plan, and then we went on from there to share the various elements, right, that makes up a growth plan, right? And then we talked about the first element, which was clarity. We took our time to talk about clarity and how that clarity has to do with knowing what is wrong or what opportunities are available to you, and knowing what must change in your life to take advantage of that opportunity. Right now, once clarity has been established, then the next thing you want to do is to create systems and structures. And that's because clarity as touching what to do may in some way get you inspired or motivated to begin. But we know that motivation is not enough to sustain visions. Motivation is not enough to sustain desires. We need to be intentional about creating systems and structures to push through that which we want to see change, because the time will come where there'll be nothing to motivate us, there'll be no feeling to drive us. What we need to do is to rely on the system or subject ourselves to the systems that we have created to push us through. That's why we take our time to create systems and structures. And we began to see also that there are guidelines, right, for creating a system that will be effective, right? While there are systems and structures, sometimes they may be ineffective if certain qualities, right, or certain things are not featured within your system and structure. And so we saw the very first one, which is having the big picture, right? The big picture has to be in view if you want your system and structure to be effective, right? There has to be a big picture, something that you have envisioned, something you're looking forward to, right? It can be a reward, it can be anything. And I shared a number of scriptures with us. I shared scriptures, I shared anecdotes just to help us understand what the big picture is. And I think if you remember again, Carol tried to point us to the fact that that also can mean the vision onboarding, right? Having a vision for your life and also knowing what it takes to onboard that vision, right? We'll talk about vision onboarding, personal vision onboarding much later. We only literally scratch that while talking about having a big picture for of which you are creating a system, right? But we'll talk about personal vision onboarding at a large scale as the year goes on, right? But the first thing you need to create an effective system is that you have to have the big picture. You have to know where the system is taking you. You don't want to create a system for creating a system's sake. There has to be a place the system you're creating is taking you. What do you want to achieve with it, right? What do you want to achieve? What are you looking forward to? There's nothing you're looking forward to, then you may just end up frustrated because you become one who is doing things, who is reading, who is studying only for nothing, right? Nobody does anything for nothing. There has to be a motivating factor that keeps you going, right? And so that was the first thing we looked at for that you need to create an effective or build an effective system, right? Systems are built. So you want to build an effective system. Number one, you need a big picture. You need to have a big picture, right? And number two, we mentioned, which I think we stopped on Tuesday, is that you need to have what's number two again? Who remembers number two again? Number two, I said very clearly that you need to have what? Number two. Somebody tell me. Don't tell me you've forgotten. My God. Number two. Unmute your mic and talk to me. Oh my God, these people have muted their mic for too long. Okay, so number two, priority, right? We need to set our priorities right. We need to be able to project and protect our priorities. This is so important because you don't always expect that you would have strength to do that which is important to you at any time of the day. And so knowing that strength in itself is volatile, right? You need to be able to set out time at the time where you have the most attention for the things that matters most in your life. And we give a lot of examples that we can easily understand that, right? We don't want to go back there today because we have so much to cover. I'm looking forward to us finishing this today. We have about 44 slides to go. Right, so the next point I want to talk about for building an effective system is measurement. I think I scratched this in the course of our discussion on Tuesday. Right, measurement. It is so important that you're able to measure your system, that your system is actually measurable, measuring both for a system and the growth plan itself. Remember, this is just for building an effective system. I'm showing you guidelines for building an effective system, things you must consider, right? But when it comes to talking about your growth plan itself, there is still measurements there, even though it's still the same application, right? So measurement, you have to be able to measure your system, right? You have to be able to measure. And I said, look, I gave you an example last week, right? That imagine two football teams, professional football teams, are playing a match and there is no goalpost. It will end in frustration. Anybody can give up at any time. You can play for 1 minute and give up because there is no system that tells who is winning. There's no system that tells who is better. And so for that reason, you can give up at any time. If businessmen didn't have a way of measuring their return on investment, right, then nobody will do well in business because there is no way to prove or to show that there is a reward. It's why measurement is actually very important. How do you know that a child is due to go to another class or another level, right? It's measurement. Parameters are put into place that says if he gets 7 A's or gets 7 credits, then he's qualified to go to the next class, even though there may be a carryover of some courses, right? Measurement is so important. If you create a system and you don't have a way to measure growth, right, in that system, or measure whatever it is you're measuring in that system, then you don't have a system yet. There is no system or structure you find in this world that doesn't have measurement in it. Check your prepaid meter in your homes where you used to read your lights. There is measurement. There is measurement. There is nothing you find school anywhere at all. The bank, the money in your bank, there's measurement. There's measurement everywhere. Systems work when there is measurement. Imagine there was no way to tell how much you are spending from your account, right? You deposit money, you can't even tell how much went into your account. You're withdrawing, you can't tell how much you have left. You just go to the ATM machine one day and try to withdraw money. They tell you, look, you are out of, you have insufficient funds. Now, won't you feel frustrated? But how would you feel knowing that you know the exact amount that is in your account, and by knowing the exact amount, you know how to restrain yourself from excess spending, because the money you now have may have restricted you from spending more than you already have there. So it matters that we're able to adopt measurement, right, into our systems. This is so important. So let's go through this slide. So what is not measured is easily imagined. And this is terrible because you don't want to be imagining growth, right? You don't want to be imagining growth. So you're reading, you decided to be reading for, let's say, glory. I think I may have missed out this slide. Thank you, Lord. Oh, good. So I missed this. So what is not measured? Oh, really? I don't think I missed this slide. Okay, so what is not measured is easily imagined, right? So if you didn't create a system for measurement, then you only be imagining that your system is working. Let's say, for example, you decided you created a system whereby you read, right, a book every 2 weeks, right? You read a book every 2 weeks. You finish a book literally, right? And then you do not have a system to tell if you actually read the book or not. Because that's what measurement does, right? You create a system that is measurable first. Remember, it has to be measurable first. So when you're creating your system, that 2 weeks you're putting for reading a book is actually a system that can be measured. Some people create systems that cannot be measured. And so your system, what we are simply saying, all that we are saying now, is that when you are creating a system, your system must be measurable. Don't say you read books, right? You read books this month. That's not measurable. How many books would you read? How do I hold you accountable for reading if your system is not measurable? Remember, I'm speaking about measurements based on building effective systems now, not measurement based on your growth plan, right? Even though they are almost the same or even the same, right? But focus on system now. So you're saying you will read books, but it's not measurable. So systems must be measurable. Oh, I'll read a book every 2 weeks. Aha, that's measurement. So it means I can now check in on you for feedback after 2 weeks. That my sister, my brother, did you actually, or did I? You can actually ask yourself, because that's the real idea of measurement. Don't expect somebody to come and check in, or you check in by yourself. Did I actually finish a book these last 2 weeks? That's measurement, right? Feedback is a feedback system. Did I actually read a book or finish a book in the last 2 weeks? That's measurement. It just checks in on you. Measurement and feedback and reviews, they are two different things, right? While measurement checks to see if you actually follow through the system you created, right? Review tries to see what to do about it if you didn't follow through. We'll get to review later, right? So systems must be measurable. They must be measurable. They must be measurable. So I'll show you a lot of examples and anecdotes just to help you understand, right? So Lamentations 3 and verse 40 says, "Let us search and try our ways and turn again to the Lord." And turn again to the Lord. What is not measured is easily imagined. Don't forget this. If it cannot be measured, you just imagine, okay, I think I read enough. Because it wasn't measurable. I'll read every month. And then maybe all you read in the course of last month was just 2 chapters of a book. Right? So in your mind, you are just imagining that you grew, that you did well, yet you didn't really do much. And that's because your system was not measurable. So let us search and try our ways and turn again to the Lord. Let us search and try our ways. So searching is not possible without observation. You're searching. So first you create a system that is measurable, then you search it to see if, or observe to see if you actually follow through. This is so important. Then it says, turn again to the Lord. You can't turn again to the Lord without knowing where you drifted. And that's what measurement does for you. It reveals your flaws to you so easily. So let's see a few anecdotes, right? Number one, I've been reading. I think I've been reading, right? So that's how many people think. So have you been reading? Oh, I've been reading. I think I've been reading, right? No measurement. So imagine that you've been reading you're reading a book every 2 weeks, and somebody calls you up by let's say March, and challenges you that, look, Carol, have you been reading? And you're like, so all you have to think of is, how many 2 weeks do you have between January and the March, the time that he's asking you? Say, okay, 2 weeks. Let's say we have 4 weeks here, 4 weeks here. That's, I've actually read 4 books in the last 2 months. Yes, because your system was measurable. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. If you understand what I'm saying, please drop something in the chat section so I can be sure you're getting me. If you're getting what I'm saying, drop something quickly in chat section. I'm getting it. Quickly. I'm getting it. Just type I'm getting it, because this is, you have to get this. Good. You have to get it, because your system was what? Was measurable. Is your system measurable? Is it measurable? You don't need to go and take your book again to confirm if you're growing, right? Or if you're following through your system, if your system itself is measurable. Oh, when last did you pray? Do you not start thinking in your mind, what time was it? Is it 3 p.m. yesterday? Or is it, how long did I even pray? No. You must have created a system that's measurable by saying, okay, you know what? Every morning between 5 a.m. and 5:15 a.m., I want to pray for 15 minutes. And you kept that consistently, right? So when they ask you when last did you pray? Oh, just this morning by between 5 and 5:15, because you have a system that is measurable, 15 minutes between 5 and 5:15. It's not an imagination. You're not thinking about it again, because you know it, because your system was measurable. You can tell, you can track it. Because measuring is simply tracking. You're tracking to see if you're following through. This is so important. So someone says, I read every morning, right? But when asked, how many pages did you read? Or how many chapters did you read? Or how many books have you read in the last month? They really cannot answer, right? So deep down, they feel like they are growing, but they don't really know if they are growing. And many people are like that. They're like that. So truly they are reading, right? But their progress is only imagined, because it can't be measured. There's no confirmation to their growth. It's amazing how far you can go when you begin to measure progress. When your system, right, that is designed for your growth plan is measurable. It's amazing how far you will go. Don't just leave it bare like that. No, let it be measurable. So when the same person decides and says, look, I'll finish one book every 2 weeks. Suddenly progress is visible. Discipline becomes clearer. Excuses are now exposed, right? So adding measurement to the system did not add some form of pressure to his life. No, it simply revealed truth or added truth to it. So you want to be truthful and sincere to yourself or to the system that you've created, then you must add measurements to it. Everything that you create as a system must be measurable. Number 2 anecdote, the weight scale we avoid, right? The man says, I'm trying to be healthier, right? And so sometimes he eats better because he's conscious of what he has said, or what he has decided to do, right? Occasionally he exercises his body, right? But he avoids to check the scale to know what he's weighing. And why do we most times avoid these things, to check the scale or check things that reveal what we are really doing? Because the scale tells the truth. Scale will not lie. If you're weighing 90, you are weighing 90. If you're weighing 120, you're weighing 120. It will not lie. And some of you will stay in that scale and try to think if it will change the value or come down. But it will not come down. It will not come down. You have to be deliberate. Be intentional. You know, it will not come down. Right? Scale will always tell the truth. So without the scale, right, this person will assume that is improving. And then that also means I will ignore regressions. And that also means I will delay his adjustment, because there's no measurement. There's no measurement. It's only assuming that he's doing well, but there's no measurement. Assumption is a terrible trap. In fact, I think it's one of the traps actually, the assumption trap, growth trap. It's a terrible trap when it comes to growing. So the scale right? For those of you who want to go into become LDR, checking the scale doesn't judge you, it simply reports reality. And that's what measurement does. You want reality? Employ measurement. Very important. Anecdote 3, prayer without tracking. A believer says, I want to grow spiritually, right? But they pray when they remember. They read the Bible when they feel like it. So months later, nothing has changed, nothing at all, and not because God failed, right, in supplying inspiration or helping them, right, but because there was no tracking. There was no tracking. There was no measurement. It was not measurable. It wasn't measurable. It's amazing how when you have a system that is measurable, that is trackable at the same time, measurable, trackable, right, it would expose you and put some kind of responsibility in your heart. So if you say you pray every morning by 5 o'clock to 5:30 a.m., 30 minutes, right? And you keep missing it, no matter how many times you miss it, you always remember your 5 a.m. to 5:30, you remember it. But if you don't have a system that is measurable, maybe you just pray when you feel like it, or you accidental praying, right? You're not going to feel anything because you don't have a system that is measurable. Maybe you've agreed to pray truly to improve in your prayer life, yes. But if it's not measurable, right, you're not going to feel the guilt of needing to go back to your prayer life that you've planned already. So when the same person says, I'll pray 15 minutes every morning, or I'll read the Psalms daily, suddenly growth becomes visible, becomes accountable, becomes adjustable. Right? So measurement there did not remove spirituality. It only supported it. Measurement would always support us. Number 4, saving money without numbers. So somebody says, I want to save money, but they don't know how much they earn, right? They don't, maybe they earn from different sources. People who earn it from different sources, right? You don't really get to put your money together to know how much really comes in. Right? Or for some of you, you can't even though you earn money once, collect your pay once, you really still cannot tell how much you exactly earn. Right? You don't know how much they spend. So you earn, you spend, and sometimes you even spend all. Right? And then you don't even track if you're really saving money, because you said you want to save. But you can't track your savings. You don't know how much you put into your savings account every month or every week or every time you earn. There's no tracking. There's no measurement. You can't tell how much you want to save there. Is it 10% of your income? Is it 15%? Your savings is not tracked. You only save emotionally, yet you say you want to save. It's not going to work like that. That's a good system to want to save, but it has to be measurable. Okay, of any income I receive, no matter where it came from, I'm giving 10% to my savings account. Aha, now you have measurement. So that every time you receive money and you've not dropped your 10%, your conscience will be judging you that, look, brother, how are you doing? Sister, what's happening? You've not dropped your savings. Because you've put a tracking system. A tracker, it can find you anywhere. Think of tracker, car, vehicle tracker that can track the car anywhere it is. That's what tracking does to our systems and our growth plan. It can track us anywhere. It will follow you to Kutubinji. For those of you who know Kutubinji, if you're not from, if you don't know Nigeria or maybe Africa, I'm sorry, just assume that you know it, right? Just assume that you know it. Or Google it later to find out what Kutubinji is. But for now, if you go to Kutubinji, are you with me? What you have, it will track you because you've set measurements to your system. Are we together? Are we together? Are we getting this thing?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
So it's important that our systems are measurable, right? Because if they are measurable, then it means they can always track us anyway, to track our conscience, and to hold us accountable. That, brother, you're supposed to be praying by this time. You did not pray today. It will track you. Nothing tracks a person more than his conscience. When you know that you missed your prayer all through that day, your mind will be in it because you had a trackable or a measurable system. Measurable system. But if you don't have it, your conscience works on things that are measurable. I think you should write that one down. It's not in the slide. Your conscience works on things or systems that are measurable. They are measurable. They are measurable. Why do you think that every time you do wrong or you sin against God, your conscience begins to judge you? Because you know what you stand to lose. You lose grounds for some time. It takes a while again before you come back to your spiritual state. Because now you have to now invest time in praying, invest time in consecration, just to, not because God moved you out of position, but because your understanding of the scripture, right, shifts you. It shifts you, and so you know that by default you now have to invest again. You can't just finish sinning and now ascend again. But no, it doesn't work that way. So it's measurable. That's why your conscience will always be there to judge you. That brother, there's an error here. Get back quickly. So for such a person who doesn't track his savings, he didn't really tell how much you'll be saving every time he earns money, right? He just spends as impulse. At the end of the month, you realize that money has actually gone because there was no tracking for the savings. The desire was sincere. System lacked measurement. Good system, but no measurement. But once the same person decides and says, look, I'll save $10 weekly, I'll track my expenses, his financial discipline suddenly becomes possible. All things are possible, I tell you, if number one, we gain clarity, we have a big picture. Number two, we have we set priorities, right? Number three, we're able to measure them, make sure that our systems are measurable. And then there's five, the farmer who never checks the field. The farmer plants seeds and never checks the field. He doesn't expect the soil, doesn't inspect the soil, forgive me. He doesn't remove the weeds. He doesn't observe the growth of the seed that he planted. So at harvest time, he's disappointed because although planting was done, but monitoring was missing, right? And of course, you know that the weeds can just cause all of the plants to just clutch, and then that's it for him. Growth requires attention, not hope alone. It requires attention. You must pay attention to it. Is it really? Am I really growing? Did I really follow through? Did I really pray for 2 hours, like I said? Did I really work out for 15 minutes? You have to follow through. Growth requires follow-up systems, attention. Number four now. So that's measurement. Any question? Can I go on to number 4? Effective system includes planning. I told us we have to finish today, by all means. Can I go on? Can I go on? Respond, please, quickly.
Yes, sir. You can go on. You're with
Great.
me, sir.
Thank you. So effective systems include application. Effective system includes application. Information alone does not produce transformation. Information alone does not produce transformation. So James was very clear on this. James 1:22, but be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own self. So you'll be deceiving yourselves if you only hear and not do. So a system, an effective system you're building must answer, what will I do differently? How do I apply this? Where does this apply in my life? You're doing meetings, strategy meetings, and there is no application. There is no way to apply it. You're just strategizing for strategizing sake. How frustrated will your staffs be? Strategy is for application. If your strategy leads to no application, then what's the use of the strategy in the first place? They wanted to go for war in the scripture. They will sit down and strategize. This is how we should apply it. Then after strategy, they go to apply. The whole purpose of strategizing is for application. The whole purpose of learning is for application. Why learning if you will not apply? Why? There has to be application. And so if you're building a system, then application has to be in your mind. At what point do I apply this? At what point do I apply this? All the books I want to be reading while I follow through this system, what will I use them for? What will I use knowledge for? all of this, all of these strategy meetings we're having or family meetings we're having, right? What is it for? And this is where this and the first point have a connection. The big picture and application, they have a connection there. This is so important. So let's see a few anecdotes. So people who collect sermons, sermon collectors. A believer attends conferences, he listens to sermons, he takes all the notes you can think of. Like whenever you are taking notes right now, he highlights quotes, he saves messages, right? Now, spiritually, they are well informed because they have all the informations, but their prayer life does not change, their habits remain the same, their relationships doesn't improve. Somebody was asking me today, when I was talking to her about having a personal growth plan, and she was telling me that she has a plan to grow spiritually and a plan to grow career-wise. She wants to do a particular course and this and that. And I said, look, if those are the two things you want to grow in, then you really don't have a good growth plan, because the growth plan has to be realistic. And she said, look, sir, that if I grow spiritually, then I'm going to grow in character, I'm going to grow in my IQ. I said, look, that would have been the case actually, right, if we were still in the era of Adam, right? But because man is now born into this world as a baby and not finished like Adam, now we have to go through the process of developing every area of our lives. And to a very large extent, even though the scripture is enough to make the human wise, right? Time and season has shown, or time has revealed, that we cannot entirely rely on that for the mental transformation, the intellectual capacity and character of the average man. And so if man would learn character transformation, it has to be an intentional lesson to that man. So it's why you find people who are deeply prayerful, students of the scriptures, they fast regularly, yet they have the worst characters that you can think of. You detest them. You wonder, you ask, is this person not a Christian again? Why? Because the subject of developing character has to be intentional. And so it's why we have now separated spiritual growth, right, from character growth. This is so important. Spiritual growth from moral capacity. Even though the Bible speaks of these things, and the Bible seems to be the greatest book on this area, we can use the Bible to teach you moral discipline and mental soundness. We can take principles from the Bible, but we will not make the mistake of merging spiritual growth with all of those. No way. We would not. So when we speak of spiritual growth, we try to limit it to prayers, fellowship with the Holy Ghost, and meditation on scriptures and growing in that knowledge. That's what we do. We know that it can influence your other areas of your life, but we don't peg it there anymore, because we've seen that over time, right? People do not really pay attention to those areas of growth because of the name spirituality. Are we together? Are we together? And so when you listen to sermons, you write all that you want to write, yet it's not influencing your prayer life. It's not influencing your habit. Your relationship are still very terrible. People are not happy that they know you at all. It means you're growing in knowledge, but you're not growing in obedience to what you are learning and what you are writing. So James called that you are deceiving yourself, self-deception. And it's not an intentional lie, as though you want to lie to yourself. You're just mistaking information for transformation. That's all. Information and transformation are two different things. You may be informed, yet not transformed. I think you should write that down somewhere. You may be informed, but not transformed. So it tells you, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed, not just informed. So you get transformed by renewing of your mind. This is so important. So application, very key. After reading, apply it somewhere. Apply it to your life. Then about prayer, go and start praying. Create a system that helps you to pray consistently. Then pray. So, anecdote 2, I know I should, but nothing is changing. All this I know I should pray people. I know I should fast. I know I should hold more meetings. I know I should go out more often and meet with people. I know I should network with people. You know you should. I have a friend who tells me she knows she should network with people, but she's not that kind of person. I'm looking at them like, look, you're not aware that that the way God designed the economy, it is for connectedness. The more you're connected, I think I've shared it here, the more connected you are to people, the more wealth you command. The more we'll talk about that some other time when we're discussing connectivity quotient, right? There's a lot of things we'll be discussing in the course of the year, a lot of things, right? So, who is that? Rachel, mute your mic, please. Are we together? Are we together? Are we together? Are we together?
Yes, sir. We're here, sir.
Okay, so somebody says, I know I should. So somebody says, I know I should pray more. I know I should forgive. I know I should manage my time better. Their problem is not ignorance because they know they should do these things. The problem is missing application. Do you know you should? I don't know. Have you had this kind of experience before, talking to somebody and say, I know I should forgive him. I know I should prepare my CV. I know I should begin the business. They know their problem is with no knowledge. They know they are not ignorant. The issue with them is application, applying what they know. Applying what they know. Knowing what to do without doing it creates, number 1, guilt. Number 2, frustration. Number 3, stagnation. So if you don't want to have an emotional weight, which is what unused knowledge brings to us many times, please use what you know. Use what you know. In fact, using what you know helps you see if what you know is actually usable. Many of the things that we learned, you'll be amazed that they are only unrefined. They cannot actually be applied the way they are. So in the process of application, you refine knowledge, and that's what we now call understanding. I think I've explained that here. We still have to do a particular discourse on wisdom, knowledge, and understanding later. That'll be for the Bible study series. Very important. Anecdote 3, the fitness video watcher. So a man watches fitness videos every day, right? He knows exercises, he knows techniques, he knows diet plans, but he never actually exercises. He's informed, well informed, but he's not fit. He's only watching video, watching workout sessions, right? So watching workout sessions does not build muscles. It is doing workout that does. So if watch all the workout sessions from now to next year, it's not going to build your muscles, right? It will build desire, but desire is never enough. So you have to do the actual workout. This is so important. So anecdote 4, spiritual goals with no daily expression. So a believer says, this year I want to grow spiritually. Beautiful. But when you ask the same believer, what will you do differently tomorrow? Where does this your growth plan show up daily? You say you want to grow spiritually. So what are you going to do tomorrow? There is no plan tomorrow. Somebody says she wants to do a course on accounting. She wants to do a master's in accounting. So beautiful. So have you started? He said no, she has not even made inquiry yet. And this is already February. And before you know, it's going to be August. And then September, October, November, and then it's gone again like that. Yeah, not even a first inquiry. It's amazing how people are always zealous when the year begins about the things they want to do. Very passionate, but at the end of the day, they don't really do it because there is no system. And if they have system, their system does not consider application in it at all. So a system without application is simply inspirational. It's not transformational. Number 5. Guidelines for building an effective system. Number 5 is effective systems employ organization and order. Effective system employs organization and order. So know this and have peace. This is a very deep secret. Disorganization creates friction, and friction kills consistency. We'll talk about consistency as the next element, right, of a good plan, right? But we have to be aware of the frictions that we create. Frictions are those things that makes doing good or that makes executing your system difficult, right? I'm going to show you some anecdotes just to give you clarity shortly, right? Proverbs 24:3-4. True wisdom is an house built. So you see building here. No building, you can't build without organization. When you see a building standing, you're seeing that the blocks are properly laid, or the irons, or whatever material they use. There's order. Everything is designed in systems and structure. There's order there. There's organization there. Think about building, think about order. True wisdom is an house built by understanding, is established. You cannot build any system that is disorganized and hope to grow with that system, or hope to achieve something good with that system. No, it's not going to work. Every system that you're building that will be effective has to consider order and organization. Very important. When environments are chaotic, obedience to your system becomes very difficult. So a few anecdotes, right? A man decides he wants to wake up early every day to pray. He sets his alarm, he makes a declaration, I'll wake up to pray, and even feels very sincere, honestly sincere that he's going to wake up to pray. But every morning his phone is dead. His phone is dead. Or maybe he planned to charge it a day before he went to bed, but maybe the cable is entangled or the charger is missing, right? Or maybe where he wants to charge, somebody is charging their own phone, and so the port is blocked. The only ports available is blocked. So what then can this person do? He has to add organization to his life. There has to be order. All those things are only excuses because there is no order in his system. Although a good system, he wants to pray every morning, but there is no order, there is no organization. Why is your phone tripping off in the morning? Why? Can't you add order to your life? The issue many times is not that we cannot pray. The issue is just organization. Disorganization, I've told you, creates friction. And for this case, it created a friction. And the friction will kill consistency. And so because your alarm does not wake you, because your phone is off, first day, second day, third day, fourth day, before you know it, the desire to pray will die in natural death, because something is stopping you from doing that which is good. It's called friction, that is caused by disorderliness, disorganization. So imagine that if the charger had a fixed place, right, or your phone was charged somewhere else and put on power saving mode, right, and turned back onto full mode, normal mode, in the midnight before you go to bed, your battery would have been alive to wake you up. Knowing that you depend on your phone to wake you up to pray, you have to do all you can to ensure your phone has life enough to wake you up in the morning. That's what we call organization. Organization. You always miss your meetings. You always miss your appointments. No organization. You always get late to work. And the story every day that there's traffic. No organization. There's no order in your life. There's nothing you can tell me. There's no order in your life. There's no order. Your order is not enough. Yes, your organization is not enough. You are too disorganized. Stop making excuse for your excesses and weaknesses. Organize your life. Add organization to your system. Add order. Set your life in order. Let all things be done in order, Apostle Paul said. And anecdote 2, the Bible you can never find. Somebody says, I want to read my Bible daily. But the Bible is sometimes in the car. He forgot it in the car, or sometimes in his bag somewhere, or sometimes under the bed. So every attempt begins with searching. You have to search for it first. I know what it means having to search for something first before you finally get to use it. You get that to create a friction again. Before you know, you say, let me just leave it since I cannot find it. And then before you know, you're not able to read. So the person skips days, not because they don't love God, but because the habit requires too much effort to start. Because you have to search for it everywhere. Disorganized environment make good intentions expensive. Organization lowers the cost of obedience. And then 3, marriage and communication. The couple agrees that they should communicate better, right? But there is no time set to talk. Conversations happen only during arguments. Discussions start when both are already tired. So soon, communication will feel very stressful. The problem is not that they don't love each other. The problem is lack of organization. So when conversations now have a planned time, a calm environment, fewer distractions, then the communication will improve naturally. Learn now. Organization doesn't remove emotions. It manages them. It manages them. The student who doesn't like studying, right? It thinks, I don't like studying, right? I don't really like reading. But if you check him out, his books are always scattered everywhere. He doesn't have a study table. His phones are always nearby just to press and see the screen next. He doesn't have any fixed study time, right? So the only reason why reading feels hard for him because there's nothing pushing him to reading. Not because he's lazy, but because his environment fights focus. So once he has a clear table, a fixed time to study, now the distractions are now removed, studying will become better and easier for him. Order creates cooperation between intention and action. And of course, number six, guideline we must consider to build an effective system is consistency. Consistency. Let me just read through this quickly. The goal of a system is not intensity, it is repeatability. It's not doing 2 hours workout or praying 2 hours straight. You want to pray 2 hours straight every day. You know you can't maintain that because you just began. When did you start praying, for heaven's sake? When did you start praying? Why not start small and build and grow? The God's design for the believer is consistency, faithfulness. He that is faithful in that which is least is also faithful in much. So the way to get much is to be faithful in least. Do 15 minutes, 10 minutes every day. Before you know it, you'll be growing like that. And one day you do 5 hours even without knowing. And you stay on 5 hours because you no longer be able to do 15 minutes. That's how the system works. Consistency works like interest. I'm sure you know what they call interest, right? The small effort repeated daily produces large result over time. God trusts people who are reliable in small things, and He expands capacity where He sees stability. Oh, thou good and faithful servant, you have been faithful over little, now have authority over much. Have authority. God can give you authority over a longer prayer time. He can give you authority over a longer strategy meeting. He can give you authority over a better health, but you must be faithful in little first. It's a kingdom system. What you are reading that people are practicing everywhere is a kingdom system. So systems succeed when they are simple, when they are predictable, right? When they are forgiving of imperfect days. It means that there are days you will still miss even that 15 minutes. Forgive yourself and get back to it because it's measurable. Right? When they ask you when next would you pray, it's predictable. It's tomorrow by 5 o'clock. It's predictable. You're not thinking in your mind, when next would I pray? So should we go through these anecdotes? What's the time? We have 4 minutes left. Okay, let's go through them. Just 4. Even though I know you understand already. Anecdote 1, the person who starts too big, right? Someone decides, I'll pray for 1 hour every morning. Day 1 is very excited to pray for 1 hour, which is also always the same for everybody. But day 2 is already tired. Day 3 is keeps it. Day 4, guilt begins to wallow, right? And day 5, it just quits altogether. His problem was not that prayer was not good. He didn't want to pray. His problem was that he had intensity, right? But he didn't have sustainability. It didn't factor sustenance into that system, right? So if the same person had started with 10 minutes daily, they would still be praying, right? Even weeks later. God does not just reward how big you start. God honors how long you stay. Be steadfast, the Bible says, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain, be steadfast, unmovable, steady, and unmovable. Anecdote 2, the gym membership. A man joins the gym and decides to work out 2 hours daily. That's a lot. Train every muscle group, follow a strict diet, right? But within 2 weeks, he's already exhausted. He'll be tired. There's nobody who will not be tired as long as you just began. Nobody. So within 1 month, his gym card has not been touched for a long time, right? But check out another person who says 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week, right? By 6 months, 1 year time, he's still doing it because is the system he created for himself, right? Requires just a little bit of engagement. Consistency is considered. So small, minute steps, but consistent. Consistency would always outperform intensity. And the anecdote 3, spiritual life and special days. Some believers are very spiritual, right? On their retreat days, their fasting seasons, January, December, special conferences. But on normal days, right, no prayer, no scripture reading, no structure, nothing. So their spiritual life becomes events driven, not lifestyle driven. God is not impressed by occasional fire, right? He values daily faithfulness. And then with 4, the system that breaks after one miss, right? A person plans, I would wake up at 5 a.m. daily. So one day he oversleeps. So instead of adjusting, right, they say, no, I failed. And they abandon the entire plan. Don't do that, right? Your system must be forgivable, right? You must be able to forgive yourself, right? Consistency is not that you will not fail at all. No, it means continuing even though you fail, right? So the system failed not because of sin, but because it was not forgiven. Effective systems expect imperfect days and make room for recovery. Very important. So consistency is not about never missing. It's about never quitting. It's about never quitting. And number 5, anecdote 5, predictability builds obedience, right? A person who prays, same place, same time, same routine, finds it easier to show up again there, right? But another person who prays anytime, anywhere, when he feels led, right, will struggle to remain consistent. Predictability reduces decision fatigue. If you know that your next prayer time is by 5 or 4 a.m. tomorrow, there will be no fatigue. You'll not be thinking of when to pray again tomorrow because you already know it's fixed, right? So when the mind knows what comes next, obedience becomes easier. So ask yourself tonight, even as we close, what comes next? What are you doing by 3 o'clock? Do you have a fixed time of prayer or study? What comes next? So men and brethren, we'll have to stop there. The next element here is consistency as regarding creating elements, part of the elements for growth plan. But we already talked about this just now in building an effective system, and it's pretty much the same. Of course, a little bit of detail, but pretty much the same. And then after consistency, we still have number 4, right? That's measurements. We already talked about measurement already. Of course, we can go into a little more details here, but not necessarily. We've talked about measurement, still the same measurement. But number 5 there is review. Right now, while measurement checks to see if you are actually following through the system. If you say you want to pray, you want to finish a book every 2 weeks, right? And you're doing it consistency ensures that you're doing it, right, despite a miss. But what measurement does, right, is to check if you are really doing it. So consistency checks, consistency ensures you are doing it, taking small steps and you are doing it. Measurement checks to ensure if you are doing it. So did I actually finish 2 books last week or 1 week or 4 weeks now, right? That's measurement. But review now goes a little bit further, right, to check if the entire growth plan is working. Am I really growing with this growth plan? Because the whole idea is to grow. And if I'm not growing, then I should revisit the plan. I should revisit the plan. So, for example, I checked myself. I needed to read to get better, but I realized I was unable to read. And so I had to review it. Look, this thing is not working. I'm not able to grow. For the last 2 weeks, I've not really grown because I didn't have enough time to study. And so I had to review the plan. I reviewed the system completely, and that began to work for me. Right? And even though it's working, right, is it working up to par? Are there things that have changed now that you now need to come up to speed at? That's why review is important. If it's working, to what extent? If it's not working, to what extent? How do you fix it? So review helps to fix what is not working, and reviews helps to enhance what is working. Oh, thou good and faithful servant, you have been good over few, now have authority over much. That's what review does. Measurement checks to see if you are doing what you said you'll be doing. That's measurement. It tracks. Review checks what you are doing and sees if it's actually helping you to grow as planned. If it is not, then we now revisit it. Review. View it again. So, men and brethren, I congratulate you. You've been able to complete this. Wow. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. So now that we've completed it, right, I wish we had time to also look at some of those details about measurement, consistency. There are things that I shared there, especially the anecdotes that would have really helped us. But then again, we did a lot on those things already, so that's fine, right? Next month. That okay? No, it will be this month now. It will be this month's end. That's last Saturday of this month. We'll look into something very different, right? Still on personal growth, right? Still on personal growth. That's my focus, personal growth. So we'll look at that. We get to have the details in the course of the month so that we can begin registration in earnest, right? But I've told you, start planning yourself every month. There will be a personal growth training every month. This wasn't intended to replace our Bible study meetings. So our Bible study meetings begins on Monday. That's my own contribution to also ensure that we are growing spiritually, right? So we study the Bible, we learn from scriptures, we grow in the spirit, right? And by month end, we get to personal growth coaching. So if you're not part of the Bible study meetings, ensure that you're part of us now, right? There's so much that God is teaching us there, and you really want to be part of it, right? Reach out to Rachel. She'll share the link. This is not a link to the Bible study meeting, so she will let you have the link so that you can be part of us, right? But for now, thank you all for joining the personal growth coaching. It's been nice having you for this period of time. The Lord bless you. Do we have any question? Our time is already fast spent. 5 minutes gone. Any question? Do we have any question?